There is a new Acura NSX. The 2022 model year is going to be the last one, so Acura wants to make this into a special car. This is called the Acura NSX Type S, and it gets a power boost of 27 horsepower, giving it 600 horsepower and 492 pound-feet of torque. And in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the spec and tech here, and then also talk about the design. So what's actually different here from the 2020 model? Back in, I think, 7 or 8 months ago, I did a redesign of the NSX, kind of focusing on the rear end. So I want to compare the redesign to the actual 2022 Acura NSX rear end here and see just how similar they are, or if it's moving in the right direction that I wanted to see from the design team. So this is now a full 2 seconds quicker around the Suzuka circuit than the 2021 NSX, according to Acura. Acura will only make 350 NSX Type S's worldwide, and the cool thing is, I guess, 300 of them is coming to the US. So the majority of the 350 that they're going to make for the 2022 model year, 300 is coming to the US here. And every 2022 model year NSX will now be a Type S. So what about the price here then? The Type S now for the 2022 model starts as $171,495. This is $12,000 more than last year's. And that might sound like a lot, but not when you consider that the Type S now has the carbon fiber roof, which used to be a $6,000 option. It now comes standard here on the Type S. And if you want to go even lighter than that, you can shed an additional 58 pounds by adding the lightweight package, which comes with more carbon fiber bits and pieces, and that goes for about $14,000. So now let's jump into Photoshop here and let's have a look at this design. So let's have a look at the front view here and compare the two. The outgoing model up here in the top, the 2020 model right here, and then you have the brand new with the $6,000 Gotham gray color option down there, which is just nuts for for a paint job, and they will limit this color to, I think, 70 cars out of the 350. You can only have 70 of them in this Gotham gray. So let's have a look at the design here. What's actually changed? Well, looking at the 2020 model here, it looks more organic to me than we have right here. Now, considering the current lineup of Acura and their design language, the bottom design makes more sense. But at the same time, the problem I had with the previous design, this one right here, was that I really liked the front end. It has this organic look to it, and I like these wings here kind of holding up the front end. It's a beautiful front end when you look at it straight from the front. I had some issues with the rear because I didn't think that the front kind of worked well with the rear because they were so different. You have the organic shapes in the front, and then you have more of an static or parallel shape in the rear that lacked all kinds of emotions. So we're gonna talk about the rear in just a second here. So I'm not sure if this is actually, in my opinion, an improvement of the front end design from the previous generation. This now looks, with this nose here, with this pointy nose and these intakes, it almost looks a little bit Lamborghini-ish here with all the sharp corners. And you also have these intakes here, or these shapes, being almost parallel, so they're almost just a duplication of this shape right here, and then it's duplicated onto the outer shape as well, and it kind of creates some more static movement than we have in this beautiful organic shape here in the front. So let me know which one you prefer in the comments below. If I were to choose one right now, I'm gonna have to go with the top, the 2020 model here. I think this is a lot more interesting looking, and it doesn't have these intakes here, which has almost the same kind of angle to it, which to me, parallelity when it comes to exotic cars, it completely just it doesn't benefit any exotic to have any sort of parallel graphics at any point, because it reduces the dynamics of the graphics and the shapes and the proportions and everything. And I think this looks a lot better than we have down here. So let's have a look at the rear here now, and this is where the major changes, in my opinion, happened with the new Type S here. Not maybe by how much is changed, but by the impact that the changes made compared to the front end and the rear end. So this is kind of what I wanted to see from the previous generation. If you look at the previous generation here and what I said about it in the redesign, I talked about it being more architectural, has no connection to the front end. If we look at the rest of the car, it's very strict and it's very sharp, and specifically if we go to the rear end here, and more specifically from a straight rear end view like we have right here, it looks almost architectural. And the reason for that is because the chamfers on this car are so similar to each other. The thickness of the chamfers are so similar that it lacks any sort of emotion in the rear end. And if you compare this design and this type of car, this exotic mid-engine sports cars, to what's out there from, for example, McLaren with the 570S, which is a beautiful organic shape, and same goes for the Ferrari 488, for example. If you look at these beautiful sketches right here, you can feel that there is a passion from whoever designed the car, and that it was sketched with hand. But if you compare those cars with the rear end of the Acura NSX, this feels like it's been designed by an engineer, which is a little bit more cold, or an architect, which is a more cold approach to the lines and to the design and graphics of the car than you would have if you had a designer that was sketching this with a pen and paper. So I wanted to redesign this and play around with the chamfer sizes here to make it more interesting and make it more dynamic and a little more organic as well. And I think they did a great job by transforming this into some more interesting shapes in the rear. It doesn't really require that much. And then of course you have this massive carbon fiber. This is probably part of the $14,000 lightweight package. I'm pretty sure this is maxed out. You see some carbon fiber down here as well. And I love this color. It's a Gotham gray. It just looks very stealthy, very modern in today's world. When you have some satin colors, specifically grays, it kind of works well. Frozen, as BMW calls them as well. It looks good. So you can see that the changes in chamfers here it just looks better when you have a more interesting chamfer size. So the chamfer size itself kind of varies all over, and it creates a less perfect shape than you have up here. This looks like a base 3D model. Well, this looks like the designers actually came in and sketched over this piece right here, and this would be the result. Then you have a different diffuser down here as well, a little bit more of a massive diffuser in the back. And looking at the side view here, this is not something that they worked a lot on to change. If you just look at the greenhouse area right here and compare it to here, I can't really see any changes. If I might be missing something, but just graphically you see that we have I think this is maybe chrome and this is silver as well, and those are now black. But when it comes to the styling of the car, I can't really seem to see any changes here to the side view of the car. And here you can clearly see the difference in the front end as well. You have this more elegant front end, and here you have a lot more aggressive looking front end, specifically in this Gotham gray here as well. So I don't know, let me know what you think here. Would you prefer to get the old design or the new design? If I, in a perfect world where I could take any NSX and mix them together how I wanted. Of course, the original NSX is still #1 when it comes to legendary status, but between these two generations here, I would prefer to have the front end of the old one mixed with the rear end of the new one down here. This is exactly what I wanted to do with the redesign, and I'm going to show you my redesign here as well. Just have some more emotion in the rear end and have it be more connected to the old front end right here, meaning more organic, more emotional, and less perfect and less 3D model, if that makes sense. Now, in other Acura news, I want to show you something really cool that I just read this morning, and that is this from Road and Track. So Acura is bringing back the Integra in 2022, and this is really cool because I just made a redesign of the Integra as well based on the Honda Civic on the Sketchmonkey channel. The Integra is back. I'm thrilled to say Integra is returning to the Acura lineup with some fun to drive spirit and DNA of the original. So very cool announcement here from Acura at Monterey. I think it was Monterey Car Week, and they of course didn't share any details about the upcoming Integra beyond the promised 2022 production date. So that means that the car is internally, it's pretty much ready now. They're just going to do the whole marketing and the launch sequence of this car. It looks like a compact two-door hatchback as seen in images tweeted by some journalists here, and this is the only image that they actually showed. You have this traditional Acura signature lighting and that's the only picture that we get for now. But the news itself that they're building a new Integra, I think it's a pretty cool idea. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.